The government paid you?
Of course they pay, whether it's germ warfare, the bomb, chemical warfare. There's plenty of money. Special agencies. They pay. They pay a lot better than they do in private research.
Or raising fish.
No. It's a matter of genetics. Radiation, selective breeding. They called it Operation Razor Teeth.
What was it all for?
To destroy the river systems of the North Vietnamese. Our goal was to develop a strain of this killer fish that could survive in cold water and then breed at an accelerated rate. We had everything. Blank check. And then the war ended.
You sound disappointed.
They poisoned the water. After all that work, poisoned the water.
But some survived.
We developed a lot of mutants, and a few of them were able to resist the poison. They ate their own dead, and then began to breed. Like some wild species. Suddenly there were hundreds, maybe thousands.
Our tax dollars at work, huh?
Well, that's science in the service of the defense effort.
Sure. We're spreading strains of bacteria in the subway system.
You put them in the river where they could kill people, including civilians, and little kids swimming in the rivers.
I never killed anybody. If you want to talk about killing, you talk to your politicians, the military people. No, I'm a scientist.
This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I am your host, Jason Bishop, fresh out of the waters, unscathed, and with me today is Sam Stepanenko.
Yeah, and I will be swimming for a while. Just a little while.
Excellent. And there's Trish Coughlin, although she's missing a toe.
Oh, yeah, no. You know that spas where they have little fish eat your, like, the dead skin off your toes? I went to a really bad one.
That's a thing?
It is totally a thing.
It's
That's
totally
a thing.
Yeah, and apparently it's actually kind of fun, but not if it's a bad one like yours, Trish.
It's piranha.
The eating a little too vigorously.
Yeah. They decided to go really heavy duty on, like, the dead skin.
Like,
You
what
must
type
have
of
some serious
piranha?
calluses if they brought those guys out.
I really do.
Yeah, what type of piranha were they? Were they like the little red belly piranha, or were they like the big black piranha?
I'm going to go with just evil.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a species of piranha, but you know what? That works for me.
They are.
I don't know which
movie.
species it was. I just went with evil.
The 666 ones.
Yes. Kind of like the ones in our movie.
Yes.
Yes, we are talking about Piranha, the original from 1978. There was a Showtime remake of that one in 1995.
Yep.
And the Alexandre Aja version of 2010. Mm-hmm. That's what I would call a really good remake where they take
Inspired
a nugget of an idea
yeah.
and run with it in their own way. And much like the ever requested but never delivered The Thing. We'll do it one day.
One day,
But they just also lean into the campiness of it. Like, they're not holding back at all.
I think it's balanced. Like, when you watch the sequel to that movie, it's all silly camp.
Oh, it's great.
It's nice and balanced. It feels
really
fun.
balanced.
And the only time it really falls into camp is
Jerry O'Connell.
And
Fuck, I hate him. He always plays that guy.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And you know, he's more talented than that.
He's like, I'm not like that. No, I know somebody who's worked on sets with you. Yeah, you're a dick.
What's
Allegedly,
yes.
What's the superhero show he was on when he was younger?
Sliders.
No.
No.
Oh well, that yes,
No,
but that's
he's
not
like
a superhero show.
teenager.
My
Secret Identity?
Secret Identity.
That's
yeah.
it. Thank you.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, and I mean, because he is better than that in performances. I've seen him play characters other than that guy.
Yeah, he was the only one that really kind of breaks the tone of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
And I mean, he was trying to play the slimy Girls Gone Wild guy. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? He was slimy. There's
Yeah.
no question. He was slimy.
My notes say nobody does douchebag like Jerry O'Connell. I wrote that.
It's true, right?
Typecast.
Yeah. And and when I say I hate Jerry O'Connell, I just hate the character that he plays all the time. It's the same issue I have with Ben Stiller and Will Ferrell. They always play that same guy, and they're more talented than that. All three of them.
Absolutely.
And Adam Sandler now, for that matter. Right? I mean, there's always really talented actors.
Yeah,
who-
so it's the character you don't.
True.
Yeah.
Like, it's not Jerry O'Connell
It's
per
the
se.
character he plays.
Although, like I said, I've heard some set stories.
But speaking of the remake, Elizabeth Shue, rocking it, loving it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was the
Two
cat-
Back to the Future alumni in that movie.
Yes. And I just enjoyed the cast in this one. There were all these pleasant little surprises, like right from the get-go.
Yeah.
The
You
opening
know,
scene, I mean,
I want to
I'm
ask
not going
you.
to drop it yet, but
I want to ask you a question about the cast of the 2010. Who is the star of that movie?
Honestly,
in your opinion,
in my opinion, well, it's an ensemble, so I don't know if there is a star per se.
But who do you think is
I
the
would
lead?
say it's the young man,
Jake.
Jake is
Okay.
he's the central figure.
Sort of.
Would
I would go with Elizabeth Shue, strangely enough, her and Adam
But
Scott.
okay.
top billing, I'm going to bet. Like, I bet you I know who it is.
who do you think it is?
I'm guessing it's the person you see at the beginning of the movie.
Well, you're wrong. It is Elizabeth Shue gets top billing. Jake, who I think gets the most screen time, Steve R. McQueen, who is the grandson of Steve McQueen. It's just kind of
Holy
cool. Yeah,
crap. I
really.
didn't know that.
Tal's a good actor too.
Yeah, really good actor.
He was enjoyable.
Okay. Elizabeth Shue, Jerry O'Connell, Richard Dreyfuss. This is in order on IMDb. Ving Rhames, Christopher Lloyd, Eli fucking Roth,
Yep.
and then Stephen R. McQueen. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Eli Roth is a cameo. So's Christopher Lloyd. So's Richard Dreyfuss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Richard Dreyfuss is
come
absolutely
on.
just cameo.
And
Well, he's
Ving
like- this
Rhames
is
gets
the-
a little bit more meat, but not much. Certainly not any. It's
No.
way less than Stephen R. McQueen.
He
I
by far
put
gets
him-
the most screen time as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Absolutely, I'd put Ving Rhames above that guy.
And none of our leading ladies, except for Elizabeth Shue, are on there either.
Yeah.
You know? So,
And like Adam Scott has
Kelly's
a
right
significant
after
point.
her.
Yeah, Adam Scott. I loved him in this movie. I love Adam Scott.
I love heroic Adam Scott.
yeah, I'm more used to him as a cartoon voice, so I don't see him in movies very often.
I
Yeah.
see him in a lot of comedies, but not like a badass heroic Adam
Yeah,
Scott.
he's in a lot of the Paul Scheer stuff. They're in a lot of the same things.
yeah,
Oh yeah, Paul Scheer.
Yeah.
but yeah, I liked him in this movie. It was a lot of fun to see him in that movie. I didn't like the last moment you see him in the movie. It was a real waste as far as I was concerned. But we'll get to
What,
that.
Yeah.
We'll get to-
Who? Sorry?
Adam Scott.
Scott.
yeah.
Adam Scott.
Yeah.
The jump scare. Okay.
I mean, I don't like those anyhow. I find them they're contrived and stuff like that.
I
but
never like the presumptuousness that you're getting a sequel. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you do that, I'm like going, I'm not going to go simply because you insist there's going to be a sequel.
I did see it. I did
hate
go, but you know what? I didn't pay for either one of them.
We did go,
I
and
got-
we
I
had issues.
I had screeners for both films when they came out, so it was nice. I got to see them beforehand. Wow, yeah, no, that first one's it's interesting.
That first one is Citizen fucking Kane compared to the second one.
Oh yeah, 3 Double D. It's like, okay, well, I had high hopes for 3 Double D because it was the guy who made
Yeah.
oh shit, there's 3 of them, and I'm just suddenly blanked on them. That sucks. Came out of the Greenlight Project. Anyway, I liked those films.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I don't know why I'm blanking on them right now.
Feast?
Feast. Thank you.
There
Yeah,
you go.
the Feast movies. So I really like the Feast movies. They're silly,
Yeah.
and I knew there would be a more campy tone to that movie, but it was just dumb.
Well, the title says it all. When you start going 3 Double D, you know that's what their target audience is.
Well,
Yeah,
they
right.
were playing on the exploitive nature of the 2010 Alexandre Aja
True.
movie, but he balances, like, it is spring break and he is embracing, like, and in 2010
But he leans into the horror.
2010 we were getting a lot of PG horror there for a while. And still after that, and there used to be nudity in horror, and like a lot of the things that he did were things that were traditional horror things that had gone away.
Yes. The exploitation stuff in this movie it wasn't exploitative in the sense that, there was a lot of nudity, yes. But it all made sense in context with the movie, and he was commenting on that whole Girls Gone Wild phenomenon as well. There was commentary in there, even though most people would have missed it.
Yeah,
And very true. Every guy that says, "Grab me, bitch," dies a horrific fucking death.
Yeah. That guy who actually owns the Girls Gone Wild tried to sue the film for as slander, and I'm like, no, well, sorry, dude, it's parody.
Yeah.
It's parody.
Yeah, and it was maybe a stitch too far as far as how graphic
Well,
it was.
and that was because Jerry O'Connell would just go on every fucking talk show and say, "Yeah, I get to play that dude," and you get to play something like that dude.
Yeah.
Just say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of saying I'm
this
playing that
character.
guy.
I'm playing a caricature of this dude.
So that's what was going to get him in trouble, was Jerry O'Connell running his mouth. But not the only initial lawsuit. 1978 actually had a lawsuit filed against them. The original film had a file against them from Universal saying it was too much like Jaws.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, and I think that's because Roger Corman said, "Yeah, I wanted to make my Jaws movie," but in the end, Steven Spielberg saw a cut of the film before it came out and really liked it, and
that's nothing like Jaws.
And and that killed the lawsuit. Well, the guy who made Jaws likes the movie. Yeah. Well, shit.
Yeah, true. But when I was looking at that, like, I looked at that up as well too, and you're like, okay, the lawsuit was against Jaws, and there is like various nods to it.
Sure.
Like, there's a resort we can't afford to close, but when you look at the remake, they are so leaning into it because, like, Elizabeth Shue, they literally legitimately have a moment where she's like, I'm thinking of closing the lake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got Richard Dreyfuss in the opening scene.
Rick can do that.
I mean, it is very obviously a nod, and I think it plays on to the Roger Corman wanting to make his own Jaws movie
absolutely.
With this. And I'm sure that was the point of that Richard Dreyfuss scene that was at the beginning of the movie. I mean, he's even wearing the Hooper gear. Yeah. He's drinking Amity beer.
Yep.
Yes. And I love it. And
he's even in a boat too small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, and
that one's subtle.
It was very subtle, and I loved it because as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh yeah, Dreyfuss went. You know what? Fuck yeah, I'm doing this. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the work anymore. I mean, he's pretty much retired. Even
he was
then.
retired at that point. Yeah,
and he's like, this is just be too much fun to pass up.
Yeah,
right. I get to go on set for like a day, and then I'm done.
And I'm the first victim.
Yeah. Yeah, he was there for a day.
Want to be the first victim?
Christopher Lloyd was on set for 2 days.
Yeah. But he's a very integral part to the whole plot, so I liked that.
Yeah. I mean, he was playing Doc as a fish scientist. I can't say.
I wrote in my notes, all mad scientists must be portrayed by Christopher Lloyd.
Well, now he's at that certain age now where I think he's just getting to be that cameo as a Cypher of Doc Brown character in every movie now.
Yeah, pretty much. Because it's his most iconic character for a lot of people, unless you watch Taxi. The TV series, because for me it's kind of interchangeable, those two characters, because they're very similar, right? Because that's just the way Christopher Lloyd is. I think
his manic is awesome.
But I still look back very fondly, and he's my favorite character in that Taxi TV series. So,
well, even when we did like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I was like,
very similar to,
enjoyed him there.
Yeah, but again, it's just that his way of delivering kind of comes across as slightly crazy, no matter what.
Yeah, like half the time during this movie, we're like, Marty, there's piranha in the lake.
Go 88 miles per hour and you'll be fine.
We gotta go back in time, Marty.
That
2 million years.
That would have been funny if there had been a nod to that somewhere in there somehow, like that 88 miles per hour would have been awesome. How fast are you going? 88 miles per hour.
Nice.
Yeah, that would have been. Really
it's oddly specific.
Very much so.
Yeah, I like it. If we were remaking it, but we're not.
Well, and God knows, Aja's putting so much into that movie. Yeah. Now, the original movie was 1978, directed by the now legendary Joe Dante. And, of course, a low-budget Roger Corman creation, produced a movie at a budget of only just a little over $600,000, and it went on to gross $16 million worldwide. No wonder it got a sequel.
Hugely profitable.
Unfortunately, the sequel was done by a young director who would never go on to do anything.
Oh yeah, I know. Don't you hate that? When they
Yeah.
make a sequel.
Did anything ever happen with James Cameron?
I don't know. It terminated his career after that. Really.
Yeah.
He's like the avatar of failed film directors.
It was.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
It is just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about him someday. But
I mean, like, it sunk like the Titanic. What could he do?
Yeah. I'd like to talk about him, but
Nobody will know what we're talking about.
No.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the original story was by Richard Robinson. Ironically, is the guy who wrote Kingdom of the Spiders, which we were talking about doing for Arachnophobia a few weeks back.
Nice.
He likes like writing movies about small, deadly creatures.
Apparently. And the story screenplay was by John Sayles, who wrote, most recently, actually, The Alienist for Netflix, Spiderwick Chronicles, The Howling, another Joe Dante movie, and Battle Beyond the Stars, which is kind of a Magnificent Seven in space kind of movie.
Wasn't that was TV?
I think that was one of my suggestions at one point, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I really like that movie. I don't think so, because there's boobies in it. Then again, I mean, 1995 was the remake for this, and that was Showtime. So again, we're already getting those premium stations.
Although having a discussion with somebody about this, 1995 was when a lot of that let's bring back the 70s stuff was happening, so I see why that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the original movie starred Bradford Dillman, might be best known for Sudden Impact as Paul Grogan, Heather Menzies Urich, who we talked about in what?
Fuck if I know. I can't remember yesterday.
It was episode 44, Logan's Run.
Oh, I did do that episode. I should remember that.
Yeah, you were there.
I was there.
And so were you, Trish.
I was, but it's gone now.
Kevin McCarthy's also in this as Dr. Robert Hoke. And he's one of those faces you'll definitely recognize. Creepshow, Inner Space, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 78 one. So we will talk about him again at some point, I'm sure.
I like him. It was actually fun to see this character, because he's pretty much the same character he always plays.
Oh, yeah.
Except for that moment of sacrifice that he does was really, really good for me, because he very rarely plays that role where he has the opportunity to be heroic.
Yeah, and redeem himself.
Oh, usually he's terrible. Usually he's a horrible man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Keenan Wynn's also in this, and we've talked about him a couple of times, but the first time was in episode 107, The Absent-Minded Professor.
I love Keenan Wynn.
Dick Miller is in this as well. You've seen him, and he's one of those faces, especially if you're watching a lot of 80s movies, you'll see him a lot of times, and especially Joe Dante and Roger Corman Productions. But Gremlins, Terminator, he's in those. Yeah. Barbara Steele, she's Dr. Mengers. She was in Shivers, and a good friend of ours. At least Trish and I have met her. Maybe not a good friend. We've met her. We had some good conversation with her.
We're deeply. Well, I don't know about you, but I am deeply in love with her.
I love Belinda Blasky. She is an amazing person, and I had a chance to meet her at HorrorCon, and I still kind of keep in touch with her. Very nice. She was a wonderful person. Gremlins and The Howling, and I don't know if she's ever survived a Joe Dante movie now that I'm like watching them.
Oh, that poor lady.
Yeah, I know.
Joe Dante just went into filmmaking to kill Barbara Steele? Is that what you're saying?
No, Gremlins. I did Belinda Blasky. But possibly.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
It just happened that way.
And speaking of, I think it's time. I'm going to run the 1978 trailer, and in a little bit we'll do the rest. But we'll run the original Roger Corman right now. Right now.
Keep going. Do it
now.
Do it.
Okay.
Lost River, take 32.
And action. Lost River is lost no more. Yes, friends, you can be part of a modern ecological miracle. Acres and acres of reclaimed land nestled in a scenic mountain valley, site of the newly formed Lost River Lake. You'll find swimming, sailing, snorkeling.
There's something strange in the water at Lost River Lake. Something you can't see, something you can't feel, until it's too late. Started in a Texas pond.
Barbara! Or is there something in here?
David! David! Well, if it still works, it's the quickest way to know if they're down there or not.
What are you doing? You drained the pond?
Yes, we found...
You let them out? They were unleashed into America's waterways to churn quiet streams into rivers of living death. Keep your hand out of the water.
What's wrong with the water? Dad!
Stay back!
Dad!
Stay back! The world of carnivorous fish. Piranha, the deadliest man-eaters of all. In schools of hundreds, they attack and devour anything that moves with razor-sharp teeth that can strip a man to the bone in less than a minute.
There'll be no way to contain them. They'll be able to swim up every river system in the country.
There's a school of piranha heading straight downstream toward your resort.
They'll kill us. All of us.
Science fiction.
Say that word. But the piranhas. What about the piranhas? They're eating the guests, sir. They're here. And they're hungry. Piranha.
All right, that was Piranha 1978, and we're going to talk almost in tandem with that and the 95 one because they are so similar. The 1995 one was directed by Scott P. Levy, mainly a TV director, and the screenplay was by Alex Simon. Easiest fucking gig ever. I think he probably just added a couple of scenes and then handed the old one back in again.
I think all he did was like update the tech, and that's pretty much all.
No, there's a couple of scenes, although I know there's one scene after reading about it that was actually cut from the original, so it's still in the original script when the dog dies. And I'm like, oh, so you didn't add anything? That was just
you just reinserted it.
Yeah, well, the one male camp counselor, he turned female and then had her hitting on the commercial director rather than actually having a heroic moment near the end of the movie. That's about all that changed. And then the real estate guy got beefed up a little bit. That's it. Yeah. I mean, otherwise, it's almost the exact same script to the point that they wind up reusing footage from the 78, despite the fact the 95 technology would have been much better at that point.
But Corman wanted to save money.
But it's Roger Corman also produced the 95. Now, the 95 was made for Showtime, so it was a TV production, but Jesus Christ, I couldn't even find a budget for that one. Yeah. But I mean, it would have been fucking tiny at that point. They were trying to match locations, and you could tell, like, there's, especially on the raft when it's coming apart, and you could see like the old footage, and the logs were bigger than the raft that they're on, and then they're going to jump on shore, and they're using the footage from the 78, but the shore doesn't match when they jump on it.
Oh yeah, like, and the logs are bigger, and like they're older, and like just the stuff they used to like mash, like bind it together different.
Now, to give you an idea, the original movie has a 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 72% critic-wise, although the fans don't seem to like it. 41% only went for it on that. And then the 95 remake is a 3.9 out of 10 on IMDb. No critic scores, and a 19% audience score.
I can see that, because as much as I enjoyed the 78, newer audiences are not going to enjoy it because it doesn't age well. It does not age well at all. So a newer audience, a younger audience, which are usually people who are going to be using these sites, aren't going to enjoy it the way we do as sort of the critical eye, as it were, where we're open-minded, but we're also critical. Right? So we see it for what it is, the genius that it was in 1978, right? Because it was genius in 1978. Right? And I mean, on a budget of $600,000, they did a great job.
It looks better than the 95, and the stuff that they should have reused, they didn't, with the lab, and they had some of the Go Motion mutations running around the lab. That was so cool. I know, it wasn't just fish running around in there. There was like a fish rat, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and I wanted to see more of that, actually. I was all excited about that. I'm like, where's this?
It looked like some Ray Harryhausen shit going on in that lab.
I was watching going like, I don't remember anything about this. Where is all of this in like the movie?
There's spin-off movies in that lab.
Yes, that's what I want. I want the spin-off. I want the spin-off because it looked like so much fun.
Yeah, I want to know all about that ratfish.
Yeah, because he looked so curious, right? Like he wasn't scary. He was just curious, like what's going on here?
Yeah. And nobody really reacted to it. That was just bad directing. But.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe, but this wasn't your best work.
It was early. It was early for him.
Yeah.
It might have even been one of his first.
And he's finding his footing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think what could have happened is he's like, oh, we're putting us in there, and then something else was supposed to happen with it later, and they just never got to it or couldn't do it.
Exactly, yeah, budget or just they couldn't make it work in the script, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the 95 starred William Catt, who we talked about in episode 65, House, Alexandra Paul, most famous for her stint on Baywatch, Monty Markham, most recently was in We Are Still Here, Darlene Carr, mainly a TV voice actress, the first movie of a fairly prominent movie and TV star these days, a very young Mila Kunis.
Yep.
As the daughter, Susie Grogan. And Punky Brewster herself was now a teenage camp counselor. Soleil Moonfry was also in this movie. That's why I kind of wanted to cover it. I almost thought about skipping past it. But I'm like,
we deserve at least a mention.
Yeah, and then there's James Karen, who was in Poltergeist, which we talk about a bit in episode 109. Yeah, we got some history, folks. Yep. And then there's Leland Orser, who went on to a very big career. He was in Seven and Saving Private Ryan and The Bone Collector, I think it was as well. Nice. Like, he's been in some big movies. And then you see him in this. So it's a case of you could see Leland Orser building a career, and I was wondering, I was texting back with Trish yesterday, and I'm like, at one point, do you think William Catt just gave up on his career and took any piece of shit that came along?
About 1984.
Oh, and see, I thought it was a series of unfortunate events like Lemony Snicket. The poor guy just had a bunch of bad breaks.
Did he get a script he actually turned down?
Yeah, I mean...
what did those look like?
Yeah, I think after House, things just started to turn maybe not so good for him. Because,
I don't know.
I don't know what happened there, because, I mean, here's a guy, like, he just kind of... Especially the 80s, 90s, he was that all-American guy. He was good-looking and had a good presence on screen, a good voice, and handsome. Like you'd think this good dude had it all. And he's a talented actor. Did he piss off
Harvey Weinstein?
I don't know.
Actually, I wrote something about like the remake. I was wondering if Alexandre Aja had just heard what Harvey Weinstein said about women and just put it in the script because he was taking his unironic comments and making them ironic in the script.
Yeah, well, I just made a note on my thing, like, well, the fish aren't the only piranha in this movie.
Yes. Very true.
Yeah.
The only predators.
Sadly.
I really, really actually enjoyed watching the 78. Like I said, it is dated. I mean, I couldn't get past our lead's jeans.
Yeah,
they were distracting. They were actually distracting.
Yep, they are. The jeans and the boots that she's wearing distracted me the entire time.
Yeah,
it was very distracting.
It didn't bother me near as much as it bothered you two, I think.
I don't know why, but I just found them like they just horribly distracting. Like every time they showed a full body shot, I'm like,
it's the country. Like everybody wears ugly jeans.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, and he was.
Because she's dressed fun in the airport. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I love how she's playing the Jaws game in the airport.
Yes, that's what I was looking at that going, are you kidding? Like, no wonder there was a lawsuit. Yeah. Like, you're being very overt right now.
Yeah, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Sure. I mean, if this was meant to be an actual nod, and you pointed out, Trish pointed out that the structure's similar, but, it's a different movie. These are experiments that the government was making. And I opened with that. The scientists were developing it initially to introduce into NAM.
I guess technically it's biological warfare.
Yeah.
Yes.
To destabilize the region. And
biological warfare. Bad idea. Yeah.
I mean,
it will always blow up in your fucking
piranhas are banned domestically as well because they are an invasive species. Yeah. I mean, the real ones, not the fictional ones. Yeah. So, because they are predatory.
And nowhere near as aggressive as they're portrayed in this movie or any other movie for that
I actually wound up watching a little clip on YouTube from River Monsters as that guy just dunks himself into a pool and they avoid him. Like, actual piranha are opportunistic predators. So if there's something already wounded and blood in the water, like, and it is very much like Christopher Lloyd says, and I'll run that commercial later, where the first one takes the bite and the blood in the water calls the pack.
Yeah.
And it does kind of work that way, but they still have to be hungry.
You know, they explain this how this misconception came about when Gerald Ford visited the Amazon.
Yes,
they set it up. They starved not a school of piranhas for days, and then of course when they threw the bleeding cow into
they were fucking hungry.
They were fucking hungry, and they stripped it to bone.
Dry. Yeah,
right. And so Gerald Ford wrote about this, and there's photographs of it and all that stuff, and that's how how they think this misconception about how aggressive piranhas are came to be.
Yeah, through a joke.
Lemmings got thought that they just threw themselves off cliffs. They don't fucking do that. That was just something. These were people who did a quote unquote documentary and were throwing rodents off a cliff.
Yeah.
So you can't kind of trust some of that, but you're right. They're opportunistic, but they also kind of mostly go for dead flesh from what I was reading. Mm-hmm. I read like a meme where like going, don't be afraid of me. I'm a water vulture.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
I mean, they look terrifying. Even the real piranhas, those teeth, they're pretty terrifying looking. Like you don't want to, I can see why nobody would want to be in the water with them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the things, and it was a different episode of River Monsters, and he caught one of the big, larger black piranha, the largest recorded ones on the planet currently. He did a test of through 300 weight line, just snapped right through it. Then they did steel cable, snapped right through it. Like the jaw and razor power of those teeth is pretty impressive. Yeah. And it's funny, in the commercial, they say, and I think they even say it in the movie, more people have died from piranhas than sharks, and of course I think they're just trying to one-up Jaws, which is a complete fallacy. I mean, at that point, and maybe it's changed, but at that point no recorded deaths have ever occurred, and I mean right up to modern day to just a few years ago, no deaths have been attributed to piranha.
FYI, more people have died from cows than sharks.
Oh, well, apparently more people have died from cows than piranha, because you know how many have died from piranha? Zero.
We're all making the gesture, the zero gesture, just to let you know.
So, like, I'm just saying, like, cows are more deadly to you than any shark or piranha. Just saying.
So, next time you want to go cow tipping, think again.
They'll kill you.
Think again. Do we need to do a PSA about cow tipping?
Yeah.
I think we might have to.
I think we just did.
We did.
Cows can kill you. Please don't cow tip. Dun, 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 star. The more you know.
That's right. Don't shake the milk.
Yeah. I mean, technically cows kill a lot more people than sharks because cow. They say how bad cow meat is for you, right?
But they're delicious.
But they're delicious.
That's not it. I've been helped over a fence or two by a mad cow.
Oh no,
and not that it has mad cow. It's a very angry cow.
They can be aggressive. And I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, just in general, on top of the cow attacks, there's just the whole. It sounds so weird to say, doesn't it?
Oh, you are not like I've seen cows go after things.
I know.
This sounds like it's going to be a great movie.
I think there should be like an evil cow movie.
Guys, get on it.
Exactly. Like, I think the worst part is
that was a total great movie announcer voice.
It was. Why don't you do that?
I think you could totally do like an evil cow movie, but all people would be like, "Oh, they're just vegetarians against beef." I'm like, "No, we just grew around fucking cows. Like, we know that they're evil, and we just need to tell people."
Yeah. Have you ever tried to milk a cow? They will kick that bucket over if you're not careful, or they'll kick you, or they'll shit on you.
There was a cow that had lost her calves, but she was like still producing milk. So my dad was trying to like milk her, like to help her. And he's like, "Okay, now close this door and don't open it." And all we heard was the most insane fucking ruckus.
Because kicking that door, yeah.
Yeah, like she kindly kind of got herself wedged somewhere because she was so insane. And that's when he was able to kind of milk her while still trying to not to get kicked in the face.
Yeah.
There you go. So voices that know.
Yeah, so let's talk about something a whole lot less dangerous. Piranha.
Yeah. But when you think about, like, if piranha were like this would be terribly dangerous. Like a swarm of something coming at you. This is what freaked me out about this movie when I was a kid.
And I think that's why they say these are mutant creatures. They've been messed with on a biological level to be more aggressive, to breed quicker, because they're
salt water and fresh water.
Yeah, the
that's
existence.
terrifying.
So they've messed with it because they already know scientifically, like, this doesn't make sense. They're not going to bother you.
Yeah.
At some level, they know this.
Yes, and I mean, kudos to the scriptwriters and Corman and Dante for trying to give it a scientific explanation for why they are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And because it happens so rarely in these nature horror films. They don't give you a reason for why this particular creature is being so aggressive or is so scary. I mean, they do it in Jaws as well. Again, Spielberg. So I think they took cues from him. While they didn't make Jaws, they did take cues from it to make sure that they were being honest as possible with an audience.
Yeah. Now, this is the last film in our Face Your Fears month. Sorry, guys. Do you know what the name of the fear is that we're covering today?
Ichthyophobia?
I know it, but I can't say
I think you actually got it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Fear of fish. Now, that also includes, like, eating fish and touching fish and being in the water with fish. It was Piranha.
So that pedicure
Piranha,
thing with the fish is going to freak some people out.
Piranha, I think specifically the 78 one and Jaws, the original Jaws movie, contributed to my not wanting to go into the ocean for a lot of my childhood. It was almost the summer I think it was the summer right after I'd seen those movies. And I was just like 6, maybe younger, I don't know. But my parents decided they wanted to go to California. We drove the long way down the coast. It's pretty, and we fucking hit every goddamn beach. And they're like, go in the water. No. There's things in the water that want to eat me.
Right?
And you know what? I get it. I remember because after seeing Jaws the first time for me, I went to the BC coast that summer right afterwards.
Nice.
Same
and
story.
my grandparents took me to the beach, and sure enough, I'm like, I was excited. I'm like, I'm going to the beach. I'm like, I got like knee deep in the water. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's about as far as I wanted to go, too.
Yeah. And then I had that moment. I'm like,
I'm in. They're happy.
Yeah. This is safe. I'm not going any deeper. This is safe.
Yeah.
Right? And at that point, I actually, even though I grew up on a lake, didn't really know how to swim. So I wasn't really going that deep in the water anyhow.
Yeah.
But there was that moment of panic. I'm in the ocean. Shark. Jaws. Like, it just happened.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
To an 8 or 6-year-old mind, that's really, really traumatizing in the moment. I mean, I'm well past it now, right? And
sure, yeah.
I don't blame anybody for that trauma except for Steven Spielberg.
Well, can I add to
I'll blame
this?
my parents.
They let
For
you watch
like
it?
an 8 and
What? Watch Jaws?
Yeah.
Yes. I blame my parents. I watched most of it under my covers.
Nice.
I was like under blankets and on my arm. Like,
I'll add to this. Like, as a
Terrifying.
child, I wasn't even on the coast, but for some reason I had it in my head that, like, sometimes when I was swimming in a pool, Jaws would come crashing through the side. Because kids, they just know
Imagination.
sharks are scary, and I was just creating a scenario where that could happen.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of the prairies. There's no reasonable reason. it should
sand
happen.
sharks. Gotta worry about those sand sharks.
Exactly. And so, yeah.
Saturday Night Live was not helping at all.
No.
Oh, hell no. Knock, knock, shark. Knock, knock, Candygram.
If you haven't seen those bits, go look them up if you can find them anywhere.
Find
You're
them on
that
YouTube.
clever
Hilarious.
shark, aren't you?
Yeah. Those were some of the best years of SNL, and I love that bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how he combined like Jaws with Tom Sawyer in this movie. It's so bizarre watching them rafter down the river because this is like the quickest way to tell.
Yeah, I had an issue with that as well.
Take the
But
scientists down. I mean, granted, I don't think they knew at that point that they were shit in the water.
No.
well,
Like,
and because the Jeep
could
had
kill
gotten
them.
destroyed, and
Yeah.
he was injured. That was
Yeah.
the only mode of transport they had to transport an injured person.
Yeah, but you know, there's something. The novelization of the original film confirms what I thought about watching it. Is before they put him on the raft to take him to get medical treatment, they both went off and had sex. Remember, he says something, and then they cut, and then go to the river. But he says something to her.
Well, she says something before they cut to that. I was like going, I've been trying to hit my way under the covers for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it's
she
just
wasn't
a quick
really.
cut.
That was the thing is it bugged me actually. I'm like, she wasn't really.
No.
trying to,
No wonder he
Especially
didn't pick up on it.
Especially
Yeah,
since
like
he
I
had
didn't-
literally just put the blanket on his lap, not 30 seconds before.
Yeah.
Right.
the whole time I'm going, I have gotten zero indication through all the previous scenes that you wanted to bang this guy. I've got nothing.
Yeah, no, you just seem to be perfectly happy to argue with him and kind of make him feel dumb.
Yeah, I did like that she was like her role was initially meant to be for a male role, and I kind of like that she was essentially she's a skip trace. They call her a skip trace, which didn't make a lot of sense unless she came to investigate the two kids that went missing at the beginning of the movie that break into the facility and then get eaten. And I thought it was weird that they were hiring a skip trace to find the kids.
There wouldn't have been a
skip trace.
That's not
what they do.
No.
you hire a PI.
Yeah.
Skip traces. Did they run out? Did they skip on their bail? Like, were they arrested for public indecency?
See, I went skip trace because that was World War II technology that was like signals that went to bombs so that they couldn't get hacked. Skip trace.
Also, still
it's the precursor to Wi-Fi.
Right in context, yeah.
Also,
it's not the right context, but that's. I was like going there.
That makes even less sense.
Where they're trying to find like the code to find these things. I don't know. It doesn't work, but
yeah, she
lets the parents have them low jack.
Yeah. And they made her a bounty hunter just for the scene in the jail, which was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, it comes off like she's a very capable woman.
Yeah.
Like and that's what I kind of liked about it, because especially in '78.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also about like part of it is like her capability is because she knows how to find things and she knows what things are important to follow and everything else. You don't need to be a man or a woman to do that. You just need to know, like, if you have an instinct, that's genderless.
Although her instincts are kind of shitty, because she did drain those pools.
She is the responsible party.
Yeah, she's responsible for these piranha getting loose in the first place. But I mean, she did it with
but nobody told her the drain would go into the river and how much these piranha are in there.
And she had no idea what was in them. Yeah,
the doctor did try to stop them. Yeah, right? To his credit, he did try to stop them. And I just want to mention that she's not the only strong female character in this movie, because both those female counselors are really strong, likable characters.
Yes, they are.
I know, and poor Becky.
Yeah, and I you know what? I'm like, they're gonna kill her, and I'm gonna be mad because she was actually my favorite of all the female characters. There's something about her. I liked her compassion more than like for
I mean, Betsy didn't. Well, they actually didn't kill that one, did they?
The brunette.
The brunette didn't get as much screen time. That's Betsy. That was Belinda Blasky, and she's the one that has that nice sinking moment in the film, which they wind up giving to Punky Brewster in the '95. Your lead counselors kind of merged together, but. Yeah, it's a good moment on screen, and I mean, she's the one that is scaring the kids with the ghost stories and stuff. And oddly enough, the really dickhead guy actually survives, but he risks life and limb to save those kids.
True,
yes,
like
he does.
He takes a lot of damage, but also like that daughter, the blonde daughter. She's terrified of the water, but even
before
then she takes before the piranha. But she like really cares about these camp counselors, so she's facing her
nobody's helping
fears.
them, and she steps up and does it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I really like that. Initially, she tries to pull the big metal canoe down. Yeah. She's just too small to do it, so she grabs the lighter dinghy to get out there, and she's. If she had any reason to be afraid, she's got it. This is that moment. So she's never going to be afraid of water.
She still does it because now she knows what it is. Yeah. It's not unknown anymore. So that can change things for people. Right? Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I like the original better than the remake. And I had a lot of fun with the remake, don't get me wrong. But
the 95 remake or the 2010?
2010.
Okay.
The loose remake. It is very loose.
I'm going to say right now, I'm going to defend it as closer to a remake. He's taken his own thing. Yeah. He's ditched the main premise of the Roger Corman thing and largely gone with that last sequence as the center of his film.
Like I said, it's loose. It's still a remake as far as I'm concerned, but it is very loose. It's got just the right number of elements.
Yeah, and they're all prehistoric rather than scientific mutations.
Because then they do away with that whole opening scene. What I liked about the original is there's far more emotion and tension in the original. Mm-hmm. Like there's all these really great scenes, like the scene with the little girl and trying to help, and then losing the Betsy, not quite being able to save her. Mm-hmm. Heartbreaking when you're watching it, and there's that whole scene. I mean, it's only an hour and 34 minutes.
Yeah, all these movies are just floating around an hour and a half.
Yeah, but the original feels longer because they create tension so well, and I think that's why The Raft.
There's nothing in that 95. Like, it just feels like a by-the-numbers remake, and it doesn't feel like anybody's really giving any effort into their performances.
If it's good or not, yeah.
The remake sort of seems like we're going to do this scene, and this scene, and then we're going to put like camp and tits over all the rest of it. That's kind of where I got.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's boobs in the first one too.
Yep.
Like
there is, but I mean, it's there's
just a little bit
there's
more.
There's a disjointedness to the remake.
You know,
right? And the nudity in the original all has a reason. It all makes sense, right? I mean, the first scene is she wants to go skinny dipping, right? I mean, it's
and
definitely exploitative, but
themselves.
but they're by themselves, and it's something that naturally might occur.
I mean, that's something
right?
that is maintained. It's maintained in the second one. Yeah. But everything feels kind of half-assed. But I'll let you be the judge because I'm going to run that trailer now because I got 3 today. It might feel a bit samey and familiar.
A sleepy resort town.
Have I missed anything?
Back in the world, nothing.
Is about to be awakened.
Come get me. Something bit me.
Something is in the water.
If they had drowned in here, wouldn't their bodies be floating on top by now?
Your hand, take it out of the water.
Something terrible. That feeds on human flesh.
Did you drain the pools? Yeah. No! They'll kill all of us.
Piranha.
Just how dangerous are they? They kill more people every year than sharks do. They'll attack anything that moves.
Don't put your hand in!
We gotta get to the resort and the kids' camp, and we gotta get those people evacuated.
Okay, kids, time for the water competition!
This project is going ahead as planned.
There are kids down there! The piranha are coming!
Imagine that.
But, sir, the piranha.
What about the damn piranha?
They're eating the guests, sir.
All right. You get to that final moment, because for the most part, it's fairly quiet as they're going down the river. They rescue a kid from the top of a boat that flipped over.
His dad got eaten by the piranhas,
And he's like traumatized.
Yeah.
Because when the doctor dives in to save him, which was kind of dumb, they could have just floated up.
Yeah.
But it's that redeeming moment for the doctor to save that kid and sacrifice him or herself to get the kid on the boat. But they had the body of the doctor on the boat for a while, and it was drawing the piranha to the raft, and they were starting to eat the binding on the raft. So they threw the body back in the water, and the kid says "Daddy," because he's traumatized.
Talking about those poignant emotional moments in this movie, and I love that they kept that beat in the remake. Mm-hmm. In the 2010 remake, we have to clarify exactly which ones we're talking about, I guess.
Yes, you do.
With Jerry O'Connell's character near the end of the movie. Because there's a point where Jake does throw his body in the water.
They kept the beat, but I don't care as much when he throws him over.
No, and
it's baffling.
His
like,
last words
guy.
are wet t-shirt contest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be funny. It wasn't. But it was supposed to be funny.
But if you've ever seen somebody in shock, like I remember as a kid, and this even traumatized me a little bit, but I was racing my dad on bikes, and his brake wires broke loose into the spokes, and then his bike flipped over. And then when we were so he had a major concussion, and when we took him to the hospital, he kept asking about his bike. So like this last big thought in his brain for a couple hours, kept asking about the goddamn bike. Is the bike okay?
Yeah.
And actually,
it wasn't.
I'm guessing it wasn't. Yeah, and I can relate to that personal experience when I was in a car accident when I was a child. Is I was bleeding, my arm was broken, and the only thing I think about was the other people in the car. Right? Like I kept saying, is my stepmother all right? Is my aunt all right? Is my stepmother all right? Is my aunt all right? They weren't. They were alive, fortunately, but they were both pinned under a car. So my question, I guess, was legitimate, but it's the same type of thing. It didn't occur to me that I was hurt.
There's a certain focus in the brain. Yeah. So, in that regard, like that was him wanting to get back to this thing he had to host or that he was promoting. So yeah, okay. I mean, yes, it was meant to be funny and a joke. It's not funny, but in the end, that's he's half eaten. He shouldn't even been alive.
Yes.
Oh no.
But ultimately, nothing about that character was funny.
No,
right?
And he's over the top, and his death is the only one that feels just forced and fake.
Yeah.
I got to give credit to Aja. Like, he cast all his extras. Usually that doesn't happen. It's usually your second unit directors and your assistant directors who are doing the extras. But because he had such a big massacre moment at the end of that movie to coordinate, he needed people who
would take direction and
that could could take direction. Okay, what are they good at? Can they act drunk well? And if you see them wearing wristbands, that's how he's separating them. Because you go to any one of these spring break things, and there's all these individual parties, and the wristbands get you into certain things, right?
Have you ever gone to a beer tent?
Yeah, right. So there's some guys are wearing multiple wristbands, but these wristbands actually mean something to the director. It's like, okay, all the ones wearing black, they're the ones that know how to die. They
awesome.
can, and the other ones, like, okay, these are the dancers. These are the ones that you could do drunk.
These are the ones that are going to do nudity and
well, generally those are a little more planned because then, like, the big stage one.
But again, you're still going to need to know who's comfortable with that, right?
Like this big stage unit. Everybody had partners in that, just so you could check your buddy after the shot.
Yeah,
make sure, is everybody okay? Is there anything that needs attention? That sort of thing. And half of those people were extras, and the other half were the stuntmen.
Yeah, because that's a big portion of it.
It was about 50-50 on that stage.
That's
the coordination on this movie
shows how committed he was to making sure it was a good scene. And we want to talk about. I just want to go back to unlikable characters because Jerry Connell sort of replaces the camp counselor as the unlikable character.
Yeah,
because that camp counselor in the original is really unlikable. And then you also have the colonel who's completely gone from this movie, and then you have the resort owner who's also pretty unlikable. So you have kind of three unlikable characters, and they kind of replaced one of them. Maybe amalgamated two of them into Jerry O'Connell's character. And then there's that one local, the boy, the one who runs the boat through the crowd of people. Get out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Again, no empathy when he died.
No, not at all. I mean, he's doing such a horrible... I mean, it's prompted through panic, but he's never shown as likable in the movie at all.
No,
at any point in the movie. So when he's running through the crowd and he's just killing people left and right, he's just as bad as the Piranha.
He's worse.
Yeah. He's so much worse because he's not helping anybody, and he could be helping people.
He's actively fucking shit up.
Yeah. I mean, that one woman. Oh God.
Oh, and I told you about this.
Oh, and it is a hard. I mean, the massacre as a whole is hard to watch.
Yes,
like it is gory. This movie is bloody and gory. The remake, I want to tell you right now, they went through 75,000 gallons of blood every day.
Holy
75,000 gallons of blood every day. I mean, they're bloodying up Lake Havasu, so
that's true. But I'm sure that you're going to talk about the propeller scene.
Yes, the propeller scene. And so her hair's stuck in the propeller, and as he's gunning the boat, just pulls off her scalp from like the nose up. And
and that's when I sent you that text. I'm like I closed my eyes at that point because I knew when the screams stopped, it was over. And then I sent a follow-up text. Taken out of context, this text sounds very disturbing.
I mean, watching the massacre scene in the 2010, it's like the opening siege moment in Saving Private Ryan.
It really is.
It is visceral and brutal. Yeah, I mean, and if you like, I can't talk about the extras enough in that scene because there's so much going on. If you pause at any moment, nobody's breaking character. No. Nobody's acting out of character. Nobody's fucking smiling. Nobody's spiking the camera. Nobody's overdoing it and scene stealing. Like, it is amazing.
It feels incredibly real, and that's what
everybody's doing their job, so it seems unrelenting.
And so it's very successful because you feel uncomfortable the whole way through. Right, and you feel hopeful too. Like you actually have that hope that they're going to be successful in rescuing as many people as possible.
Yeah, I mean, Alexandre
real fast.
Yes, it does.
Alexandre Aja is no stranger to disturbing. I mean, if you watch watch High Tension, a Switchblade Romance to our American friends, there's some pretty disturbing shit in that movie. And we'll talk about him again because he also did the Hills Have Eyes remake and the Mirrors remake.
Love
and
Mirrors.
Also Horns, the Joe Hill adaptation. Great film. So he's fast becoming one of my favorite horror directors for sure.
I don't even know if Horns even qualifies now. That's almost like a supernatural.
Yeah, but a lot of Stephen. It falls more in that Stephen King category, and as well it should because it's Joe Hill as his son.
Yes,
there's a mixing of genres. I mean, like this one, there's comedic moments. There's
and I like to see directors who because so many horror directors get typecast, so when you see them do something like Horns, which is kind of like a horror dramedy.
Yeah.
Right? Did I just coin a new term?
Horror dramedy.
And then this, which is like a horror comedy.
So. The 2010 was written by Peter Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg, and they wrote the most recent Jigsaw movie and Sorority Row. The movie was budgeted at $24 million, and modest hit. It grossed worldwide $83.2 million. It's not bad. I mean, you're a little over triple your budget. It was enough to warrant a lower budget sequel.
Well, I mean, with horror, you never expect to make more than 3 or 4 times your budget anyhow. For the most part.
I mean, and considering that, $24 million, that, for what's on screen, they made it look like 80.
Oh, for sure, yes.
I mean, some of the CG stuff is not looking too good.
That was actually some of my
it's only 8 years old, but the CG's not looking as great. But it also makes 3D pop. I mean, it was made for 3D, and generally CG will pop a lot better.
Because I'm like, if you watch this interpreting that CG as adding to the camp factor, it's enjoyable. If you're expecting the CG to be good, you'll be angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some really great stuff, and I don't know if it's practical or CG, but there's that scene in the underwater cave where they focus on the egg with the little.
That's CG.
That's CG. Yeah. That's really well done. It actually looks really good.
There's tons of practical in here, though. I mean, obviously, there's lots of gore effects and some of the fish effects and stuff. Yeah. There's quite a bit. I mean, it's Greg Nicotero and K&B effects, so the bloody and the corpses look quite real. Yeah. To the point there was one AD on the set that was a little worried because thought one of the fake corpses floating in the water was a real one. Like something happened.
That must have been terrifying.
Of course. Of course.
I mean, you want to talk about facing your
especially
fears,
with all
right?
that many bodies in that scene. Like any one thing could go wrong. I mean, there's explosions and people running into things.
People running into things. And you think about like an average just pool when they aren't doing a scene.
Yeah.
People die because nobody's paying attention. Like, how terrifying.
Well, and that's the thing is I'm guessing they probably had all the stuntmen who were actually doing the work, and they had stunt coordinators watching every single moment to make sure nothing went wrong.
And hey, where else are you going to see a floating penis get eaten?
I hated that so much.
See, and I thought that was kind of funny. But what I enjoyed the most actually was when they first do the dive into that deep cave. Mm-hmm. That was really kind of cool because that's sort of like what it is.
It does dive. I'm sure I could totally see how that would be like. Wow, that would be so cool to do. Not on my list of things to do.
Yeah, but I mean, how they did it, I'm like going. It feels what you could do.
Yeah,
that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and I know enough about diving to know that there are like rules and times, like certain set amount of times you can be under and all that stuff, and the buddy system and how they screwed up by breaking from the buddy system.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, so I'm going. I knew it was going to happen as soon as he went into that tunnel himself.
Yeah,
right. It's like you never ever leave your buddy. I know that. Right. So, but they at the same time they were following all the other protocols that I do know from diving.
Yeah.
Like they were following them all. Right? So when they finally did break it, you were really mad at them, especially if you know enough about to know that they were breaking protocol.
I was furious.
Sure. I figured you might have been.
I really was. And then there was like points where they're talking about, I can get into the small thing, and I'm like going, you know what you need here is what actual cave divers have to do, which is take off their equipment and drag it behind them as they're going through tiny spaces.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need.
And I mean, for a dive that deep, and as long as they were expecting, because they knew they were deep,
Absolutely.
They probably would not have been on tank.
Well, they would have been on nitrox or rebreather.
So, but yeah,
but you still can't. Still, with that on your back, if it's a tiny space, you still have to take it off. And drag it with
absolutely, you. Yeah. So, yeah, because I was questioning that because I know that enough to know that there's usually like a 20-30 minute limit on a regular oxygen tank.
It depends. And you're right. As you get deeper, you do use more air, and also you need a different mix of nitrox as well. To go to deep dives, there's technical diving where people can go very deep, and then there's a guy I was diving with at one point where when I talk about rebreather, it's essentially the same thing, sort of, but you also have to do many time stops before you go up.
Of course, yeah.
Decompress is a lot. So the only thing is when they were descending, it was good, but there was points where I think it's because they had the ones where they could talk in their helmets. Yeah. I think part of it wasn't there wasn't as much popping of their ears, because if you did that regular, it's too fast.
Yeah.
Way too fast.
Too much compression, yeah. Look at us getting into science and shit.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I asked the question. I totally asked the question because I knew we had a diving... I'm not going to call you an expert enthusiast. Yes, that's a...
Yeah, I'm not an expert. I'm just an enthusiast.
Well, let's break that up and get everybody back to Piranha. I'm going to run the trailer for Piranha 3D.
You see that gap right there?
Yeah.
Quake opened that up. Now it's a connecting passage.
Descending fissure.
Oh my god. It's at least 200 feet, Novak. Sam?
Something bit me.
Sam, what are you seeing down there?
Oh my god.
Sam!
It's like this body's been in the water for weeks.
I want to know what the hell this thing is doing in my lake.
Is that a piranha? This particular piranha vanished 2 million years ago.
I'm thinking about closing the lake.
There's us, and there's 20,000 kids. You do the math.
Take it on!
The sheriff has declared an emergency.
Don't worry, we got P over here! Piranha hunt in packs. The first bite draws blood. The blood draws the pack.
Piranha.
All right, that was Piranha from 2010, aka Piranha 3D, directed by Alexandre Aja, and written by Peter Goldfinger, Josh Stolberg, starring Elizabeth Shue, Jerry O'Connell, Richard Dreyfuss, Ving Rhames, Christopher Lloyd, Eli Roth, Stephen R. McQueen, Jessica Sozier, Kelly Brook, porn star Riley Steele, Adam Scott, Dina Meyer, Paul Scheer, and a whole bunch more. There's actually 2 other porn stars in this movie, Gianna Michaels and Ashlyn Brooke. Those were smaller, kill scenes. Okay. Gianna Michaels was the parasailer that
there we
got, and then Ashlyn Brooke was the one that got sliced in half by the cable.
That was great.
Yeah,
that was a great scene.
And the other one was Riley Steele was Crystal, the other water nymph,
the one who didn't have a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, she had not very much dialogue. Yeah,
that was an easy correlation to make. Naked a lot, no dialogue, porn star.
Yep, Kelly Brook was not a porn star, but she had lots of dialogue. You wouldn't, not that I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, her ending was one of those scenes that I just hated most of the movie. I knew she was going to go
and die.
Yeah. I knew she had to go because she was the correlation to Betsy, right? Right. She was the Betsy character for me because she was likable and
she was kind of like the big sister character to Kelly. She saw that she had interest in Jake and vice versa, and tried to but neither one of them was going to pull that trigger. So she was trying to make it happen.
Yeah. But was just so tragic, like the hair thing, and it was. I mean, I hated it because it was so perfect, right? I mean, it was because again added tension, right? Because now they're pulling on the line, and I was really mad at the Adam Scott character. I'm sorry, there's too many names in this movie to remember them all. But Adam Scott's character, I'm like, why didn't he just come in just a little bit to bring that tension up?
Absolutely, right?
All he was bring
Novak.
the line. Pardon?
He was Novak.
Yeah, Novak. Yeah, but yeah, all he needed was a little more tension on that line. Pull him up farther from the water.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, why weren't you pulling on that?
Yeah,
gunning that engine a little bit more.
Just because the other thing about it too, there's like 4 people on that line.
Yeah,
you need more gun to get that tension and keep it.
Yeah,
right. And it would make it easier for them to go move across it as well.
Yeah,
and it was sort of done hand over a rope. Is the tighter the rope, the easier it is. Because then you slide a little bit more than pull.
Yeah, I like watching the kids do it because they were like barely just their feet on there because like they're so small they can just.
You do that sound effect again? They sounded exactly like that.
It's totally
uncanny.
Like that. I really enjoyed both these movies. Like, this was probably one of my favorite watches in a while for like remake versus original because they both were so much fun to watch for different reasons. Right? Because I love the original because the tension and the poignant moments that were in there. The remake, because it was just pure gory fun, and you could watch it and still, if you were paying attention just enough, see what few messages there were in there.
95 was arduous, but I gotta say I really enjoyed 78 and 2010. Now I got a question for you for 2010. What was because he really does have you think like a slasher movie and then I have creative kills. There's a lot of creative kills in this movie.
There really are.
What's your favorite?
My favorite? That's a tough call. I mean, I honestly, my favorite kill probably was one that wasn't by the piranhas. I think the girl getting cut in half by the cable, because it was something that would happen. You can imagine happening in a situation like that. Is you've got all these people who are just being terrorized, and this person who's safe but isn't, and that's why I think I like that one the best, because she was safe but ended up not being safe. And actually, two of them that died there with that. Cable snapping. Yeah,
the other one didn't fall apart, but she got killed too by the end of it. And there was a girl they pulled out of the water, and she must have got a lot of midsection damage.
I remember watching that.
This dude trips, and they pull her in half.
Into two pieces.
Yeah, that one was... That one was kind of like, wah, but I'll do that again too, wah. But again, it sounded just like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I said that was the noise I made, not the noise the movie made. But yeah, no, I love that bit. Like, there's so much great gore in this. I mean, if you like gore movies, just for the unreal entertainment,
I gotta say that probably the goriest thing we've done for the show since Evil Dead.
Yeah,
and that's a long time ago.
Yeah, because it is gory. But yeah, there's so many. And I love the bit with Ving Rhames where he gets the propeller going and he's just weaving it back and forth. Right? You know he's going. You know he's not going to make it. But
he did. He's in the sequel. He has no legs, but he's in the sequel.
Awesome. See, I haven't seen the sequel, so I did not know that.
Guess who his carer is?
Andrew,
Paul Scheer, who is the Girls Gone Wild secondary douche. I don't know how you call it.
No sense.
Survive?
It makes no sense that either of them are there.
Oh yeah, no, because we don't see
let
him
alone
survive.
Connected in any way.
Yeah. He sort of just randomly disappears when they're taking them off the boat. Where did he go?
Well, in the original film, they rescue the dog from the neighbor that was
Randy
Keenan Wynn, and then the dog's just gone. Now there's a cut scene that's in the script where the dog dives into the water, like in the 95 one, and does get eaten. And that's in the 95 one. That's the slight difference is they do manage to get the head of one of the piranhas that's floating above that the dog managed to tear apart, and it's large and a whole lot larger than the scenes later on because they're using the 78 footage. But but you can see the scale of these things is fairly large.
Yeah.
And that's
but I can
about
see
the
why
only
you
thing
wouldn't
that
do
they
that.
probably created for that movie.
Like, I can also see why they wouldn't do it in the 70s. Like, they're like, oh, no, we love the dog. We are not putting the dog in peril.
It might have actually even been shot and just cut.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But, I mean, it would probably, I'm guessing it probably would have tested well.
No,
Nobody
I'm
wants
sure.
to see the dog have it.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. It's just like when I was watching the original. My wife came downstairs because she was online with her friends and talking and stuff like that. She comes downstairs and she comes on just at the scene at the camp where the kids are getting attacked by the piranhas, and she's like, "I can't watch this," and left the room immediately, right? Because children getting harmed or killed, it's traumatizing. And one thing I noticed is at no point do they show you the death of a child in the original, right? They're
do in the 95.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, they even back in '78, they knew there's a line you just try to avoid crossing.
I was actually surprised on the Showtime one when they did show some bodies of children. I'm like, whoa.
Well, it was 95. At that point, they're thinking, well, I mean,
They did it in Pet
what
Sematary.
else do you think's going to happen?
Right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are thinking. But to this day, like I said, Pet Sematary is one of those movies that I am not looking forward to when we cover the remake.
Yeah.
Because I have not seen that the original since the first time I saw it.
Neither have I. I mean, I was pretty young when I watched it, I think, but me and my bro couldn't get that through that movie in one sitting. It actually took us 3 sittings before we finally got through that entire movie because it was so disturbing.
It does not need to be remade, guys.
I just make it a whole thing where, a father wants to resurrect his son, so I just watch it at Easter.
Oh, Trish.
I know, it's so bad, but that's just what I do.
Whatever works for you, I guess. But yeah, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but the scene where I think his name's Dade, actually. I think, isn't it? I can't remember. But where the kid gets hit by the truck. I can't bring myself to watch it again, even though I know it's coming. There's no. It was so incredibly well done.
That was when I hit pause.
Yeah,
I hit stop. I'm like, I don't need to keep watching right now.
Yeah, and
but it's just a shoe, and the thing about it is so gut punching.
Yeah.
When you see that little shoe.
Yeah, but going back to the movie.
Yeah.
Right. It's that same kind of feeling. Is like there's no way you want to see any of these children even get harmed, let alone killed. Right?
Yeah.
And they do a great job of sacrificing Betsy in place of one of those children.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I was really definitely afraid for those 2 young kids. That were Jake's younger brother and sister in the movie. That he leaves to fend for themselves, so he can be part of spring break instead of babysitting like he's supposed to.
Yeah, he comes across as a bit of a dick, but at the same time, for doing that, right? He's a nice kid, but he's also a teenage boy who's got.
He's thinking with his hormones.
He was thinking with his absolutely, and he's thinking, everybody else gets to enjoy this event, and I'm at home with the kids every year.
Yeah, now he's got a crush on Kelly, but I mean he thinks it might be a chance to make it with Danny, like the porn star.
Yeah,
well, she's not porn star. The
Wild Wild Girl star.
The Wild Wild Girl star. Yeah, the English one.
Yeah.
Kelly Brook.
Yeah.
But there's a large age difference between him and his siblings. He doesn't want to look after them, and you get that, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, because he always has to spend spring break looking after them because his mom is the sheriff and single parent, so she's got to make sure this town of Lake Victoria doesn't go to shit in this spring break week.
Yeah. And he's frustrated because she has relied on him for so long that she doesn't even I don't think she's even made an effort to find somebody else to do it. Mm-hmm. Right? And this is one of the things that frustrates me about Chu's character is she's really great. She's like, I love this movie, the strength of her character, but she's actually a pretty shitty mom. Right.
She abandons the beach massacre to go save her kids.
But
she's a decent mom. I think what's happening is we're watching her during a time where she's just going to be busy all the time.
Yes.
Like this 1 week, she might be like just amazing in there all the time, every other week of the year.
Yeah, she's not asking much from the eldest son.
No, this is probably 1 week.
You kind of, as somebody who was the older brother who went home to the much younger brother, right? And this is no criticism because I didn't mind, but I do understand why he'd want to do that, why he'd want to get away, because you sacrifice a lot of your freedoms to be that older brother and make sure that your younger siblings are taken care of. Because I guarantee you that this isn't just spring break weekend. The way it felt, at least in those scenes where she kept coming back into his room, is it felt like she relies on him an awful lot because of the nature of her job.
True.
Right? And so and this is the week where he's supposed to be able to blow out, cut loose and enjoy boobies and the beach and stuff like that, and he doesn't get to. Like I said, I can empathize with that character and see why he did it. It doesn't make it right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It does, and by no means does it make it right. But I can empathize and see why he chose to do it.
Oh, I understand why he did it. I'm not sure that it's like that level of stuff. Like, I bet you this place has very low key all the rest of the year. This is just the nightmare week that has to be dealt with.
Oh,
these
yeah, for sure.
Crazy kids. I would be like, oh, frick! If I was in Elizabeth Shue's shoes, I would taser so many kids.
I love everything about that sentence.
If I was in Elizabeth Shue's shoes, I would taser so many kids.
Yes.
Just for fun. Because honestly, they were a little bit of assholes.
Yeah, I love that line she says, I was talking about pissing lightning for a week.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't even give him that warning. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, you've got a bunch of like obnoxious drunk college kids hitting your town that they don't give a shit. They don't live here. They're going to be go back home and go back to their studies in a week. They're there to cut loose, and God knows, like we know we've been that age. Kids just I wasn't one of them, but I mean, kids don't give a fuck.
Nope.
No, especially in a herd.
Yes, exactly. When you get into groups, you tend to
lose like 2 points.
To them, there's no consequence.
Yeah,
she has to live here the rest of the time.
And that's just it. Like there was plenty. Like they had the moment of being able to save these kids, and they're trying to get them out, but it's literally just Elizabeth Shue, Ving Rhames, and a couple other guys trying to get everybody off this fucking beach, and there's thousands of kids
like, get
here.
out of the water. Oh, whatever.
And they're like, they don't have enough handcuffs in the world.
No. There was a couple of times I was like going, when I was watching some of these people get massacred, and I'm like, fucking told them.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, how are you going to enforce 1,000 kids who don't want to leave?
Yes,
right.
Like they're all having fun and having a party, and they don't want to fucking leave.
Like I think the downfall of this sheriff's department is they know this happens every year. Why can't they get transfers for a year? For like a week.
For the week,
yeah. Oh, they were.
You should be able
to
do that.
Yep.
Yeah, they should be able to. They should have planned better for that. We certainly get state police in to help out.
Absolutely.
That's what they're there for. That's part of what their role is to support their local police.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's my understanding. I mean, I'm not American, and I could be way off base. But
I know, like firefighters are the ones, at least here, that do like underwater rescue and like retrieving bodies.
Yeah.
So the firefighters probably should be part of this. They're on the water. They
they're probably should. I mean, there probably were some there. I don't know, but I mean, you would think I think in the movie itself they actually had to build that entire scene was somewhere 1,100 boats.
That's a lot of
boats.
The main boat that they were shooting on with Jake and the party Wild Wild Girls boat, they built 3 of them.
Wow.
So one for the exteriors, the sinking boat, and then one that actually a bigger one so you could have more space inside to shoot the interiors.
Absolutely.
So because every boat and every apartment and everything in movies is always like the TARDIS.
Yes,
everything's bigger on the inside than the outside.
Yeah, that one bit where he's trying to get it, like, for some reason they let Jero kind of have the controls of this boat, and I'm like going, you're going to fuck the engine, dude.
Yeah.
I thought he was, too. He actually managed to break him free. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that.
And
I'd seen the movie before, and I thought, did somebody go underneath to get them free of all that
algae
and...
Yeah, because at that point they don't know about the piranhas.
Yeah. No, they don't. So I was wondering, like, I thought somebody went and did that, and then I watched the movie. When I watched the movie again, I'm like, man, have I actually watched this since I saw it in the theater? Because I didn't remember that bit.
And then there's like bits where like they put in the sound effects where like, like you can hear grinding, and
it makes sense. So like, why put them in jeopardy when you're just going to run them on the rocks anyway afterwards?
Yeah,
true.
So that was consequence to him doing that because
somebody goes off the boat.
Jake says, "Got to be careful in here because of the rocks," and then he guns it into the rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's when one of the girls goes off the boat.
Actually, Jerry O'Connell and Crystal both go off the boat, but Crystal gets eaten first.
Yes.
And they manage to pull Jerry O'Connell out, but they've already kind of eaten his bottom half by the time they get him up.
Yeah.
And then, but they don't eat crystals implants, so they're smart fish.
That was still funny.
Yeah, that's
it was.
funny. Yeah.
I found that
way funnier than the floating cock.
Yes.
Yeah, but I like the fact that I'm like, the fish know you can't eat that.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's why that joke fell flat, because we'd already kind of seen it done with the implants, and it was funnier.
Maybe that's it.
Right. So that
the jokes are there for tension, and it's just like he's talking about they ate my dick, and then you see it. It's like you guys went a little overboard on that joke.
Yeah.
But they're there to break up the tension a little bit because you've just gone through like half an hour of traumatizing.
Yeah.
True. Although what I would have liked to have seen, like with the implants, is like, I don't know, what they were doing was like so camp. I think this would have fit. Like, especially with the dick, with the implants. Oh no, jellyfish. And then this half the thing just escape because it's afraid the implant is a jellyfish. I would love to have seen that. That would have made that moment land for me.
Yeah, that would have been actually kind of funny.
I don't think there are freshwater jellyfish, but that would have been funny regardless.
These are 2 million piranha. They haven't been out in a while.
That's true.
Yes. And they're 2 million piranha in North America, right? So why not a jellyfish?
Why not?
Yeah, I was hoping
you could have even set that joke up in the cave. There could have been jellyfish in the cave.
Absolutely.
Well, at this point, that cave, they've just these things, this species has been existing by eating each other.
Exactly, but would jellyfish be something that they would be palatable to them? Could you imagine?
Well,
adding a new tear into this and on top of it all?
Yeah, but
these piranhas that are afraid of a jellyfish? How badass is that jellyfish?
That would be so cool. Well, Portuguese man of war are still badass as hell.
Yeah. So there we go. We've got Piranha 3DDD, the jellyfish.
And also, if you want to make them so dangerous...
No, you want to make it really scary, you introduce a cow.
Yes.
True. But you...
Call back.
Yeah, nice. Or you make them really dangerous by the fact that they could eat jellyfish and they were venomous. Which is actually what I was looking up. I went into like a deep hole with like oceanic stuff with this one. There's some sea slugs that can eat jellyfish and they use the venom in their own bodies as defense. Just
they steal their defense system?
They basically
eat the jellyfish and then they become very unpalatable.
And metastasize their poison to make themselves unsafe to eat.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
What a weird, wonderful planet we live on.
It's true. But yeah, you're right. Jellyfish. We should introduce jellyfish to this whole program.
That was an incredible word for a podcaster.
It wasn't. I actually stumbled over it for the first time in a long time. More than 2 syllables and I don't get it.
But anyway, back to this. I kind of like the idea. It was like a hidden lake underneath. I'm still okay with that. I think that's a nice fun.
It makes sense geologically. It makes sense that there could be a hidden lake underneath another lake, and a seismic event. Sure, why not? And I love the whirlpool.
Yeah.
CGI needed a bit more work, but I love the whirlpool.
Yeah. Poor Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh yeah, but that ending bit where they do such detail on his hand, where you can see they've eaten off the tips of his fingers, and all you see is bone.
Yeah, that was a cool. I watched the special features on that, and the armature that they created was pretty cool. You can tell that that's an armature, just the way it moves, but it's good enough. It's still
it's gooey.
Yeah, and when they find his body, it just there's so much gore that's so well done. That like I said, if
the different people bobbing in the water.
Yeah. If you're a fan of gore, right, then this is a fun movie, right? I mean, I like it in small doses. Like a movie like this once in a while is okay. When we do our 31 Days of Horror, which is a ways away yet, but I tend to stay away from the stuff I know is just going to be gore shock, because it gets overwhelming and it loses its impact if I watch too much of it. Right?
Yeah, I'll only watch like 2 or 3 of those kind of super gory ones.
Unless, of course, it's like this has moments of comedy, but I don't consider it like truly comedic. There's other ones I've seen that are just
I think the sequel to the 2010 definitely has a lot more comedic beats to it.
Yeah.
This one had for the most part just enough, and there's a few that drop that sort of missed for me, but I think it has just enough to break it up so that you're not overwhelmed by it, especially as you said after that 30 minutes of just shock after shock after shock,
unrelenting, and it's just like. Oh, you get through it and you're just like, oh, thank God. I just want to take a deep breath.
But I admire it's sort of real time.
Yeah, and there's you don't. They didn't really stop them. They stopped a school with the explosion when Jake ignites the propane tank.
And this gets to my beef, and I've identified why that one bit bugs me so much in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because one thing I liked a lot about this movie is it never relied on the jump scare.
No.
Yeah.
Like there's no like really.
Well, that's why they only give you the one,
and that's why it pissed me off so much. It's like it was you didn't need it. It just felt really forced. It felt like you did so well, and then you do this.
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it because again, you never really had a jump scare in the movie, and then you're not expecting it. So it's just like that one little it's Jason, that one last.
Yep.
We thought we killed Jason, but that one last waking up before you drive another axe in his head.
To me, it wasn't so much a jump scare as it was just like the last comedic moment because it's freaking funny.
It is funny because
Adam Scott is a genius.
Because it's telegraphed by Christopher Lloyd saying these are the babies.
Yeah,
and I was
they have no reproductive. They haven't got any mature reproductive organs. They're the babies.
And then he says, "Where are the adults?" And then it happens, right? Boof. Yeah, and I mean, it should have been funny, but I don't know why. Well, no, I do know why it bugged me so much.
I didn't laugh as much as going, okay, now it's over.
I was sitting there going, I was like, it's a
funny,
little funny,
though.
but Adam Scott, no.
I mean, it's still another. You haven't recovered yet.
Yeah,
it's one more.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. Maybe it made me mad because I liked I like Novak's character so much.
Yeah,
I think that may be why it made me so mad. And I am not a fan of jump scares. I really, really find them to be they're meant to startle you. They don't make you uncomfortable, right? Like so much this movie did. Like there's so many scenes that made me uncomfortable through the gore or through the tension, and then this just made me just go and I'm like, I don't want to go I want to feel.
Yeah. I don't want you to do that anymore either.
No, stop. You shouldn't do that at all.
No, exactly. Right? So after feeling all uncomfortable, it kind of I think pulled away from all the way I felt about the movie right up to that point. Right?
So we know this movie gives you seizures. Okay.
Well.
Like very, very teeny.
Micro seizures.
Yes, my
micro tremors.
Yes, it's my startled noise. It's my snort. Is that better?
Sounds a little more realistic.
Okay. It's more funny.
It is, yeah.
But I liked how they copied the tie me to the boat and then drive off bit in both movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We didn't talk about the end of the original. We kind of got wrapped up in the remake again.
Yes.
We do this because it's fresher. It's a fresher movie, obviously. And I guess the Adam Scott, the Novak death, was a direct correlation to our hero's death in the. Well, there's a direct correlation, but it was an homage to it because he goes and sacrifices himself to release that toxin into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and he doesn't die, but he's mutilated pretty good. Like he's eaten and gored at pretty good before. Yeah, they probably should have made the clock shorter, but because he's going to release this toxic waste to kill the piranha, which was interesting because in the remake, the '95 remake, they said they're resistant to poison, but whatever.
Yeah,
that drove me nuts. I'm like, but you just said that they're probably going to. Okay,
right?
Anyway, so this place that is going to release the toxins is underwater. It's submerged, so to get to the control room, he has to go underwater, and he's got a rope tied to him, which is the other end is tied to the boat, and he's given a time limit, open up the waste, and then gets pulled.
And they keep that beat in the remake as well with Jake and Kelly underneath the boat. I like that, right?
Yeah, the rescue is very similar and pulled from the explosion. So that beat is very similar, but done in a very new and an interesting way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I liked so much about the remake, is that's why I say it is a remake.
Yeah, and Grogan survives this, but he's on a stretcher and traumatized, and he's probably going to need fucking skin grafts, and he's going to be in the hospital for quite some time. And, his daughter sees him this way. And meanwhile, the military who's running this installation says to the press, The threat is over. There's no chance of them getting into. They can't exist in salt water, which is a bald-faced lie.
Well,
and the conspiracy, and it kind of sets up that question mark.
Yeah, for the sequel. Yeah.
See, and when I thought about that,
and they do the same thing in the 95, except it's the governor instead.
When I saw that, I kept looking at, because I mean, the other woman had said, she's even talking to the the tracer lady who was there. She's like, oh yeah, no, they can't go into salt water. Like, she believes it. And even though the other two could have said, oh no, there's salt water up at the testing facility. That's what we found them in.
Yeah.
And
they already know they exist in salt water.
She's not, like, I don't think the science lady was lying. They didn't tell her.
I think so. And I just want to go back to your point about the poison. They actually say it in the original as well. The doctor says that they tried to poison them, and
but it was
the weak ones died off, but the strong ones survived.
Yeah, so so poisoning them drove me nuts.
But Brogan actually says the script tracer's character says, well, I thought they couldn't. They were resistant to poison. He says this stuff will kill anything.
Oh yeah, like it's smelting like
this is toxic waste.
Yeah.
So like if they survive, like good on them if they survive.
Yeah, you deserve to survive if you did that.
Yeah, they're an apex predator if they're getting through that.
Yeah,
exactly. Like it should basically suffocate them.
Yeah, do them in. But yeah, which do you like better? Do you like the genetically engineered mutant ones, or do you like the prehistoric ones?
I really liked the mutations in the 78. Just because I got to see some kind of like go motion, Harryhausen type effects, so that I liked. And the genetic engineering is something we, as shitty human beings, would probably do, but the prehistoric ones just made more sense because you didn't have to do a whole lot of explaining with that. Yeah. It just simplified the story. So
you could get right into the story.
For me, I think instead of having a lot of exposition, that moved things along rather nicely. So I'm going to go with the prehistoric because you just say prehistoric and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why the pet store guy knew so much about it and had a fossil, but okay.
I think he was I think he was just really passionate about fish.
Yeah,
because I don't think it's a pet store.
It's a pet store. There's a cut scene, and Jake works there.
Oh, okay.
So when I was watching the deleted scene, Jake, that's actually his regular gig, and the shop is shut down because nobody's buying fish during spring break.
So that's what the question I was asking: is it a fish store, or is it like an aquarium store, or is it like a pet store with dogs and cats?
Yeah, they just call it a pet store, but there's more fish and stuff in there. In fact, that's pretty much all it is.
He seems to be a dedicated hobbyist.
Yeah, in the cut scene, Jake is feeding all the fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a quote unquote pet store, but really it's a tropical fish store or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm kind of with Jay and like going, yeah, humans would try to weaponize something dumb because
I mean, there's like that underlying conspiracy theory in the original is kind of interesting, and it's completely gone in the sequel or in the Aja remake.
Yeah, and I didn't miss it.
No, I didn't either. No. I mean, we got plenty of movies that utilize that better. So
true, but I mean, also in the original one, what I enjoyed was the fact that to me, it's more. There's more urgency to it because there's rivers that lead to the ocean. Mm-hmm. In the remake, it's a lake.
Yeah.
And there is the underwater lake. Mm-hmm. But you could probably get rid of them if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, and part of it, too...
Or just close the lake and it's done.
Yeah,
right?
They were developed for Vietnam, and then in 95, they kind of retcon it to whatever the next military action was. By 2010, I'm not sure how many things in the desert, streams in the desert, they could have put those piranha in.
Right.
So yeah, I could see why it was kind of done away with.
Yeah, because it makes sense to not. I mean, it wasn't necessary. It offered an explanation for the existence of the piranhas. Mm-hmm. They found a new way to explain that. I like the prehistoric ones better too because it also explains, like, just knowing what we've read about piranhas. They've been subsisting on sort of basic cannibalism for over 2,000 years.
Yeah,
and now they're free to hunt whatever they want. And they're going to do it,
and it gives them free reign to make them look like unlike anything else we've seen on the planet. Like they're not as streamlined as modern piranha. No. They still have that big jutting jaw,
that prehistoric look.
And they do have prehistoric piranha to at least get a design sense for them, and then just exaggerate all those features, right? And I watched all the special features yesterday, and that's kind of what they did. So, but it made for a pretty fearsome looking fish.
It did, yeah.
Visually, I liked them better.
Yeah.
Visually, I absolutely liked them better.
Like, even if they didn't bite you, it still caused some damage just brushing against you if it was moving fast. Like, they're kind of armored, and they look pretty nasty.
Absolutely. Well, what I was kind of hoping to, and this is probably the second time I watched this movie, and I was looking at going, they've been gone for 2 million years. And I just wished somebody would be like going, yeah, nobody knows why they went out, and like just somebody even hypothesizing why they died out, why they couldn't survive. Because that would be kind of interesting. Like, why didn't they survive? Oh, well, the water temperature got too high or something dumb like that. I don't know. They have them here, and the fact that they exist here just in that tiny fissure, I don't know. I wanted something.
Some sort of explanation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's like explaining Ogopogo.
No, but I mean, it's if he knew so much about them, and he knew so much that they died 2 million years ago. I mean, to me, I always kind of like the things where they're trying to solve a mystery of like, why did this thing die out? Yeah. Nobody knows.
Well, if it exists with the dinosaurs,
that would have been interesting. I don't know. Sorry, Jay, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying if it existed with the dinosaurs, I mean, the planet went through a major ecological shift because theoretically an asteroid hit the planet and just changed everything, and so a lot of species died out. And if you're not a deeper existing fish, if you're more of a shallow existing fish, then you're probably not going to survive that.
No.
Now, things in the Marianas Trench are probably millions of years old, unchanged.
Yes, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, is that would be fascinating to have something like that in a movie, but you need that in something more of an intellectual horror than this, because certainly this is not an intellectual horror.
No. They didn't make it for that.
I'm overthinking it, but I was just hoping for more depth.
Yeah, and like they did in the original, because they did offer an explanation for the existence.
Yeah,
of
you were definitely looking in the wrong movie.
No, I didn't expect it. This is my hope. It's not.
I'm sorry for the reality check and all that, but yeah,
I get that.
This is not a smart movie. This is a fun movie.
Yes, by
Very
fun if you like seeing
movie.
people die and in horrible, horrible ways.
And as a horror fan, sometimes. For me, these are the fun movies, right? Because I tend to gravitate more to horror that makes me uncomfortable psychologically than physically. Mm-hmm. And this movie was the other way around. It got a little psychologically because of the level of gore, but more it's just the volume of it is like wow, right? And it's entertaining in its in the unrealness of it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Once you get to a certain point, you kind of just like. You're so detached. You're just watching it happen.
You watch it from a perspective of what that was really creative.
Yeah,
right. And I think that's why Jay went to that question is because you'd like to see those really creative what filmmakers and special effects teams come up with to really shock you.
Yeah,
and make you go, wow, that was really cool from an imagination standpoint.
Yeah, the attention to detail in this movie, this remake is quite something. Yeah. Any last thoughts about these deadly, deadly fish?
Watch them both. I'll be honest with you. I until Jay mentioned that we were going to be doing these, I had no interest in seeing the 2010. It just didn't appeal to me. But I'm now glad that he selected these because I had a lot of fun watching it. And the first one, cut it some slack because it is from 1978. But watch it. It is really, considering its budget, a really well-made film.
Yeah, I would pass on the 95 though. Same movie.
I didn't even mention 95.
Same movie done a whole lot worse.
It's not. It has that. It feels like a made-for-TV movie, is what it feels like.
Yeah, and it was. It was made for Showtime, and normally we'll skip those. But anytime I do, you guys get on my ass about it, so I will acknowledge its existence. I usually do, but I usually don't to our audience's satisfaction. So I actually watched it this go round.
Yes, and remember, we say no TV, no TV.
Yeah. But it's our rules to break, not yours.
Yeah.
Even then, no TV. It's like it's sometimes just even a TV thing. I watch this on like a TV channel at some point,
and we will break our rules occasionally. We've got some stuff planned where we will definitely be breaking those rules, but but like I said, there are to break.
Yeah.
But it was good to revisit this because this, like I was telling you guys before we did this, the 1978 one just messed me up as a kid.
Yeah, that's the one I remember. I think I'd seen both of them because I when I was a kid, I don't really remember the William Katt one, but I do remember there being two of them. So I think as a teenager, I probably had seen the 95 one at some point and then rewatching the 78 going, well, that looked a whole lot better.
Yeah, and I know
but I like William Katt. So
and that's why I was excited to watch the TV remake, which I didn't watch, to be fair, because I couldn't find it to watch.
Yeah, that was a difficult one to track down.
I managed to find it like a while ago, but I couldn't find where I found it before, so...
So I was the only one who watched it.
I did watch it recently, like probably about 2 months ago, 3 months.
Yeah.
So, because I just
That's
hadn't...
Good. So it was at least somewhat in your brain.
Yeah, I had an idea to watch it.
I read the wiki, so I knew you guys are talking about it at least.
Yeah, and the wiki said C78.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. What did one critic said? It's basically the 1978 movie with all the humor and fun removed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. That's a very fair statement. Yeah.
But I was going to share something with you. The weird thing, what I thought I remembered from part of this movie, that was completely wrong because I was a kid and I'd already like overwritten what I remembered about it. For some reason, I thought when he goes to pull the thing, it was like a sunken ship, and it wasn't. No. And then when I watched this again, I'm like going, I can see why I thought that.
You know what?
I can see why I was wrong.
As a kid, I probably did too, but I was probably half paying attention because I was, again, hiding behind the couch or under a blanket or something for a lot of it.
Because you probably saw it on late night TV when you probably even were supposed to be up. Yes. Your parents let you stay up to watch this movie kind of thing.
I watched Jaws with my parents. I still haven't forgiven them. And Alien.
Yeah, your parents are pretty liberal. To be honest, I mean, I love your parents, but they are pretty liberal.
It
in that
depends on
sense.
Your parents. Like,
I mean, I love Alien and I love Jaws, so I guess I got over it.
Yeah. Right.
My mom loved horror movies, so we'd watch that. There was one about bees.
Killer bees?
Yeah, I remember Killer Bees.
Yeah.
There's so many killer bees movies, and that freaked me out as a kid. Like, let's just show our child everything that can kill them. That's kind of
I never wanted to go outside, and everybody wonders why I do it. I'm like, why are you inside all the time? I'm like, because
everything out there kills you.
Everything out there is deadly.
Yeah, nature,
especially in Australia.
Hell yeah. Don't go outside. Just stay inside, kids.
Even the mosquitoes, like, come on. You never know which one's going to be like
malaria.
The malaria one or the. What's the other one? There's like 2 or 3 diseases now.
Zika?
Zika.
Yeah, Zika virus. Jeez. And then there's something a little less...
West Nile.
Yeah, West Nile is the one that we get here.
That's the one we get.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just roll in the die every time.
Yep.
All right, well, let us know your biggest fear, and you can do that over on @Invasion Remake on Twitter. Invasion the Remake on Facebook and Instagram. I don't know what we're not on Instagram very much, but we try. And Invasion the Remake @gmail.com. And tell us what your fears are, and maybe if we resurrect Face Your Fears month next year, it might give us an idea of what the next batch of movies will be next year.
Nice. There's lots of fears, guys.
Lots and lots of fears.
Lots and lots of fears.
I already know one we're going to cover, but nice. I don't know if we'll get to it next year or not. We'll see.
Ooh, I have a weird question. So, if you're afraid of the water, do you think that encompasses the stuff like all you can be afraid of in the water? Well, or do you have to separate by what you're afraid of in the water?
I had a really interesting discussion. I'm going to drop another podcast here just to let you know from the host of the Unwritable Rant. It was a very brief one, but she mentioned that she was afraid of deep water and outer space.
Okay.
Right. So I think that it's kind of more of a fear of the unknown.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, my mom was afraid of water. She probably had a lot of fears, but I think her fear of heights was conquered when she got her pilot's license.
Nice. That would do it.
Yeah.
I didn't know your mom had her pilot's license.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is.
That's awesome. So
never
if we
took
had
me
to fly
flying,
somewhere?
so no, I don't think it's good. I'm sure there's some upkeep to that.
There must be an awful lot, yeah.
I don't think she's flown since I was
You can't
a kid.
just do it once and then just have it.
But I remember her not being too cool with boats. I mean, I remember her not being too cool with some heights and stuff too, but she wouldn't really go out on boats. Larger boats would be fine. cruises and ferries and stuff, but small boats.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
And I get it. I live in Vancouver, and being from a landlocked province of Alberta, and then living on the ocean and not being able to see water and not be able to see the other side of it. That was unnerving for me for a little while because it was just weird to me. And, you get used to it. But
well, did I ever tell you, the first time, when I went on the shark diving trip and then when I was on a boat, and the most unnerving part of it is, we were looking at the shore, and all of a sudden the shore was gone. And I'm like, okay, yeah, now I am in the ocean. It's a very... You realize the gravity of your situation immediately.
Yeah. Now you don't see land on any side of you.
Nope.
No.
So I can see where those fears, rational, irrational, but at that point things are out of your control.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I found it absolutely fascinating when I couldn't see land.
Oh, I think it's awe-inspiring.
Yeah, that's exactly awe-inspiring.
It is.
And I got to do that all the time for a while there, too.
Yes, you worked on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
But I wasn't on a cruise ship. I was on a littler boat.
Yes.
Yeah.
You feel very vulnerable.
Yeah. Doing it on a sailboat is a different experience.
Yeah, I've mainly been on larger boats myself, and small boats was fine because I saw the land on either side. I'm like, I can swim that. So something happened. I wasn't too terribly panicked. Except for the Ogopogo in the water or whatever.
Yeah.
But generally, you don't hear about them eating people.
No.
That would require them to be seen.
Yes.
Whatever crazy prehistoric creatures that are running around as cryptids, they obviously are camera shy because they're like, wow, that human looks tasty, but then I'd have to be seen.
Well, exactly. Right. I mean, let's face it. Most of these cryptids are
just that,
and they're most of them are water based.
Right?
Yeah, the legends are more fun. I mean, they've kind of explained that the Ogopogo is just basically giant sturgeon. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's it's like Loch Ness. It does open up into the ocean, and it could have been a sea snake, big sea snake, or something. Yeah. Who knows?
Flooding happens all the time.
Yeah, people's eyes play tricks on them. So, but that's kind of the fun to have the mystique of that.
Yeah,
but it's no fun to be prehistoric piranha. I want to not be in that pool.
We definitely don't want to be in that pool.
All right, well, the sequel of that one's in a
They're
water
old and
park.
cranky. Don't want that.
Yeah. All right, well, help out the show, keep the piranhas away, and the humans at bay by telling people how to find this wonderful podcast. And you can do that by giving us a 5-star rating and a short review, or just letting people know where to find us. We're on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play Music, TuneIn Radio, Player FM, Blueberry, Spreaker, Audio Boom, Libsyn, iHeartRadio, and
frickin' YouTube.
And a whole lot more. So there's no excuses. We're everywhere. You can find us. Just let everybody know where to find us. Help spread the invasion. All right. Well, that's it. I think that's it for Face Your Fears month. We're done. We're back to normal the next 6, 8, 12, 10. I don't know. we got a few more weeks in the
about 8 weeks.
About 8 weeks before 31 Days of Horror. So I'm going to say we're probably not going to watch any more horror movies in the next couple of months. We're going to lighten things up next week, but it'll be a fun movie. And right after that, we got episode 150.
Wow. And then soon after that, we'll be coming up on our 3-year anniversary episode.
3-year anniversary. I got to figure out the numbers on that one.
Yeah.
I'll just look at when the podcast launched.
That's what I was going to say. This is an easy
much
answer.
easier.
Yeah.
Rather than try to work it by weeks.
Is it like wood or cloth or?
I don't know.
It's just going to be fun, Trish. Just fun. How about that?
All right.
Yeah. So we're heading very close to our 3rd anniversary, I think.
Yeah.
So, geez, 150 episodes and counting.
Yeah.
And no end in sight. Oh my God, the damn movies, the remake.
It keeps happening. It just keeps happening.
We're going to be here forever.
Yes. Is it Sisyphus? Are we going through the trials of Sisyphus? As a remaker?
We're being Sisyphus and there's no afterlife. We're just doing this on our own. Oh my God.
I'm going to say if we have to go through purgatory, they're just going to go on through.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Go on through. You're fine.
Listen to every episode. There you go. You did it.
It is a free pass.
Yeah, you fought your losing battles. We got you. Okay.
All right. Well, I have been Jason, and I am so glad I am on land.
I'm always Sam.
I continue to be Trish, and again, very happy to be on land.
You know what? I'm thinking I'd like to go for a swim myself, but we've got no lakes here. I can go to a pool. So we got three parks. We got three parks. It's and 2 inches of water, and then water's kind of spraying everywhere. Let's go with that.
Oh yeah, okay. Eau Claire.
Yeah,
that'll be good. Yeah.
Unless they're really tiny and they come in through the pipes and then they just come in and just eat you, and then those little sprays just launch them at you.
What, like the spiky kangaroo in the Amazon that swim up your pee?
Yeah, they swim up your guy stick and do that.
Yeah, they actually do that in the 3DD. All right, we are out of here.
Julie, this is Carl. We have a major problem.
Well, I'm looking out at a school of dead piranha. Not all of them, but I think we've got a good start.
You don't understand. The specimen you left with me, it has no mature reproductive organs.
What? What are you talking about?
The piranhas that kill those divers, the ones you're hunting for, they're not fully developed. They're the babies.
The babies? Huh. So, where are the parents?